This is the most powerful building in the world, home to the Presidents of the United States, where global decisions are made, crises are managed, and history is written. But it's not like anyone can just waltz on in here. The Secret Service monitors this place 24/7 because throughout history, people have tried to sneak in the craziest things, from broccoli to drones to women wearing pants. These are the most banned items from the White House. But first, let's start with what might be the most absurd ban of all time: squirrels. Because President Dwight D. Eisenhower had a putting green installed on the White House South Lawn so he could relax between high-stakes meetings. But his personal paradise was under attack, not from police or the press, but from an army of mischievous squirrels. These little critters kept digging up the turf, burying nuts, and causing havoc. Eisenhower was livid. Legend has it he told his valet, "Next time you see one of those squirrels on my green, take a gun and shoot it." Luckily, no rodent, but the Secret Service launched Operation Squirrel, a real initiative to trap and relocate squirrels away from the White House. It made headlines. Animal rights groups protested, and Ike's war on squirrels went down in history. Sorry to all the animal lovers out there, but squirrels were officially banned from the White House. But if you think that was crazy, President George H.W. Bush took things a step further when he declared open rebellion against broccoli. At a press conference, he said, "I do not like broccoli, and I'm President of the United States, and I'm not going to eat any more broccoli." With that, he issued an executive order of the taste buds, banning broccoli from Air Force One and the White House kitchen. That's right, the leader of the free world officially banished a vegetable. Response? California broccoli farmers shipped 10 tons of the stuff to Washington in protest. That's a pretty good prank. But Bush donated it all to local food banks. He wasn't just flexing power, he was showing that presidents are people too. People who don't like tiny green trees. I wish I could have banned broccoli from my kitchen growing up. Perks of being the president, I guess. But this next ban might ruin Barron Trump's birthday party. Because you wouldn't think party balloon sticks could be national security threats. But the White House disagrees. Balloons can pop and sound like gunfire, which is obviously a problem when the Secret Service is on high alert. In fact, there was an infamous incident in 2016 involving a rogue bunch of helium balloons floating near the grounds, causing a full-on lockdown, where they shut down access to the building and rushed officials to their private bunkers, so the Secret Service could handle balloons. But they didn't shoot them. They held their fire and waited until the balloons drifted to the ground before rushing them away from the property. Phew, that was a close call. But what about them selfie sticks? Well, what began as a tourist's favorite way to capture photos became a nightmare for the Secret Service, because it can be swung like a weapon or knock over priceless artifacts. Plus, imagine trying to duck a swinging GoPro mid-presidential dinner. So the Secret Service decided to ban both balloons and selfie sticks. You gotta keep the party favors at home, kids. But that's nothing compared to this next ban, which almost sent a Secret Service agent to the hospital. Because President Biden brought 2 German Shepherds to the White House, Major and Commander. Major, a rescue dog, kept nipping at staff and Secret Service agents on guard. And despite training efforts, the incidents continued. So Major eventually got the boot to live with friends in Delaware. But then came Commander, who was younger, bigger, and turns out even more bite-happy. Because Commander bit 11 people during his time at the White House. Ouch! Get off me! The Secret Service had enough and decided to ban Commanders. Turns out, man's best friend just wasn't White House material. And hey, I can't be getting distracted while I'm on duty here. I need to focus on this next threat, which had 5 people murdered. In the weeks after 9/11, America faced a new kind of terror: bioterrorism, where letters laced with deadly anthrax spores were sent to the White House. And if you don't know, anthrax is a deadly bacterial disease that can kill you if you inhale it. But thankfully, the tainted mail was intercepted at an off-site screening facility before ever reaching the White House grounds. Unfortunately, 5 people died and 17 others were sickened from opening the mail. And since then, all mail to the White House is irradiated
Bad for and amazing video.
and scanned for threats. So if you're mailing anything to 1600 Pennsylvania Ave, skip the powder, even if it's just protein shake mix. Because not only is anthrax banned, so is ricin. Yep, it happened again. A Mississippi man sent a ricin-laced letter to President Obama. In 2020, a woman tried the same with President Trump. Each time, the letters were caught in off-site screenings, and both perpetrators were arrested and charged. It's a reminder that even in the modern age, old-school mail can be a weapon. Guys, can we just stick with email? But this next ban might just ruin my favorite holiday. Because Teddy Roosevelt was a conservationist through and through, and was against cutting down trees for decoration. According to legend, he banned Christmas trees from the White House. This dude hated deforestation, but his son Archie famously smuggled one into his room in secret. Whether it was a firm policy or just a personal stance, the story reflects Roosevelt's deep environmental beliefs, and as a result, no tree adorned the White House that year. So, Christmas trees were actually banned back in the day. But the White House wasn't just policing trees. It was keeping an eye on pants, too. Because for most of White House history, women weren't allowed to wear pants inside. Although it was never an official law, people just respected this old culture all the way up until the 1973 energy crisis, when the government lowered the heat in the White House to conserve energy. However, this led to freezing cold temperatures in the office, where women felt increasingly uncomfortable in their dresses and skirts. So for practical reasons, staffers finally put on some pants, and women could walk the White House in trousers without judgment. Welcome to the club, ladies. Pants were unofficially unbanned from the White House. And yeah, it only took freezing temperatures to make it happen. But another old-school norm that dominated the White House was smoking. Once upon a time, the White House was filled with cigar smoke. FDR, JFK, LBJ, all puffing away indoors. But in the 1990s, health consciousness caught up, and First Lady Hillary Clinton said, "No more," implementing a no-smoking policy inside the White House. And Bill, he just chewed on unlit cigars instead. So it was official. Indoor smoking was banned. Light it up outside, boys. But while you're out there, look out for those dang drones. Because in January 2015, a drone crash-landed on the White House lawn. It flew over the fence and landed in one of the most secure areas on Earth, sparking a full-blown Secret Service freakout, an internal investigation, and dozens of red faces. I almost lost my job. Turns out the man flying it was an off-duty government employee who claimed he was just messing around and lost control. Luckily, no one got hurt, but it exposed major gaps in drone defense technology. So the Secret Service cracked down and made the airspace above the White House a strict no-fly zone, and drones were hard banned from the property. Try flying a drone anywhere nearby nowadays, and you'll be greeted with more than just a warning. But before banning airborne robots, the White House turned its attention to something more controversial: denim. Because George W. Bush wanted the Oval Office to command respect, so he implemented a no denim policy. No jeans allowed, where suits were required even on weekends. But only one man got a pass: Bono, the frontman of U2, one of the most popular bands in the world, whose black jeans slipped past security. Bono was gonna wear those jeans with or without you, George. Kick him out to where the streets have no name. Okay, I'm done. So I guess jeans are banned from the White House unless you're a rock star. But although Bono could get away with breaking the dress code, even he would have had to ditch his iPhone. Because next up, we're banning something even harder to live without than pants: your phone. In 2018, Chief of Staff John Kelly banned personal phones in the West Wing during Trump's administration. The goal was to prevent leaks and protect sensitive information. Staff had to leave their phones in lockers and use outdated government-issued devices. It caused some grumbling and probably a few mysterious vibrations. Hey, what's he hiding over there? Get him! The result? Cell phones were banned. But if you were hoping to at least snag a selfie in the East Room, think again, because the next ban takes aim at your camera roll. For 40 years, cameras were banned on public tours of the White House. Why? Flash damage, slow lines, and general tourist chaos. But in 2015, Michelle Obama officially ended the ban and made a video of herself ripping up the no photo sign. So cameras were banned and then unbanned. But one thing that's not getting unbanned anytime soon are these party crashers who snuck into the White House. Because in 2009, reality TV hopefuls Tarek and Michelle Salahi snuck into Obama's first state dinner without invitations. And they didn't scale walls or sneak in windows. They simply looked the part and slipped through routine security. And with the president, all without clearance. But how did they get caught? Well, they posted selfies with Vice President Biden. Cameras weren't banned from state dinners and press events. But within hours, the Secret Service cross-referenced their names with the guest list and realized they were never invited. Needless to say, they were banned for life, and the Secret Service got a memo titled, "Don't let this happen again." But at least the couple got to enjoy a few cocktails at the White House. Because, believe it or not, there were times when you couldn't even get a glass of wine. In the 1870s, Rutherford B. Hayes' wife, Lucy, aka Lemonade Lucy, banned alcohol from the White House. As a devout Methodist and supporter of the temperance movement, Lucy believed serving alcohol at the White House set a poor moral example. So President Hayes banned all alcohol from White House events. Boo! I mean, great decision, sir. Instead of being greeted with fine wine and brandy, visitors were greeted with fruit punch and lemonade. And as you can imagine, diplomats were not thrilled, joking that the only thing drier than the speeches were the parties. But Lemonade Lucy stood firm, and she wasn't the only one who agreed. Because later on in the 1930s, Eleanor Roosevelt instituted a similar, though slightly softer ban, restricting hard liquor from the White House, but still allowing wine at formal dinners. Despite these periods of banning booze was wild, wait till you see which presidents nearly burned the country to the ground.
White House is amazing video.
Disasters. So click this video right here, because trust me, it only gets crazier.